Hi everyone, thanks for being here. This is an in-depth review of the Luca 40mm side zip leather python boot by Fromthefirst. Okay, let's get into it. Fromthefirst is a brand I first discovered on Instagram a couple of years ago. They were an Instagram page that accumulated or collected all of these SLP aesthetic pictures and reposted them. When I say SLP aesthetic, what that means is it's like rock star chic. You've got your skinny jeans, your leather jackets, your boots, your printed shirts, etc., etc. And these guys pretty much seem to be SLP fans. And there's a big community that really likes this aesthetic. If you go on Style Forum or if you go on the Facebook group, the SLP Facebook group, people are buying, selling, trading, but they're also sharing information, nerdy things actually, especially on Style Forum, where people get into very long discussions about discrepancies between pieces from collection to collection. There's things about, boots that have changed over the years, and I kind of went into that in my last video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But yes, I found these guys on Instagram, and they were strictly just reposting images that they had amalgamated from hashtags, I assume, and from what other people were posting. But they then announced that they were going to make boots. And this was huge because, well, in my opinion, if you have somebody who is a super fan of the SLP aesthetic, they're paying attention to these conversations about what people like and what they don't like about the boots. They took all the good, they took all the feedback, and they listened. So imagine that, with the information that they had and they know what people want, they then create boots that aspire to that standard. And that's what you get. When I point things out, there's gonna be a recurring motif, and that's gonna be Fromthefirst has a lot of elements that you see from SLP. I don't think it's a one-to-one. I think they're not trying to replicate it exactly to the T, but they do take a lot of inspiration from SLP, and that's just something we have to acknowledge. Take, for example, this box. This box has a beautiful texture on it that reminds me a lot of the SLP box. That's just a fact. Whether or not they intended for that, probably. Is it beautiful? Yes. Should they have not done it? No, why not? I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's something to turn your nose up at. Fromthefirst realizes, as SLP fans themselves, that there's a demand for certain things that are really hard to find. And those pieces they're making. So I see it as a win. I should probably say before I forget that I'm not being endorsed or sponsored by Fromthefirst in any sort of way. They did not tell me to make a video. They're not paying me for this. I'm not getting any freebies. All these boots I purchased myself. And again, I'm just here to share information. I'm not somebody who's working for them. All right, here's a closer look at it. It says Fromthefirst on the top. There's a white label on the side that tells you which model you've bought. And that's pretty much it for the outside. There's not more than that, and it's also like the SLP box. You have that white label that's, on the side. It's different between the two brands, but it's essentially the same. Inside the box, you have black tissue paper. This is yet another motif that reminds me of the SLP packaging. You lift the black tissue paper up, and then you find the boots are in dust bags. The dust bags have the Fromthefirst print on them, and it also says made in Italy. And then you have the boots themselves, so let's go ahead and unveil them. And there they are. Magnificent. I purchased these in June, on June 16th, and I received them on June 21st, so 5 days later. They arrived safe and sound, everything was perfect, no issues whatsoever, and I ordered 2 pairs. I ordered this as well as the same python leather, but in an Enzo. So that's the pair that has the harness around it. But I haven't worn those, so I don't think it's necessarily fair for me to review them. These boots, however, I've worn a lot. I've worn them about 3 to 4 times a week since receiving them. So if you calculate from June, that's a lot of wears. And they're holding up just fine. So let's take a closer look. One of the defining aspects of this boot is this big exposed zipper. This is something that a lot of SLP fans like. When your pants come down and they cover up the shaft and you have this zipper that's left, this piece here, it just looks really nice. Not that concealed is a bad thing, but this just adds a little edge, I think. The profile of the boot is very, very nice. You have a slim shaft here so that jeans can come and sit down on top instead of, you know, sticking out. The toe is not exactly like the SLP toe. It's not a perfect almond shaped toe, and it comes down a lot flatter instead of, you know, up and over. Again, it's not something that's negative, and it's not a one-to-one. I'm not looking for a one-to-one. So if you are looking for a one-to-one, then you're gonna notice these things and, I don't know, be disappointed that it's not exactly like an SLP boot. But for me, it doesn't have to be an SLP boot. It can be a Fromthefirst boot and be amazing. The leather feels nice. On the inside, it's very smooth as opposed to the stamped outside. When you stick your hand inside and you feel along the edges, you can feel stitching because this is Blake stitched, which means that you can change the outsole should you need to. I do want to point out that these boots are not exotic leather. Here's a description on the Fromthefirst website. All of our exotic leathers are stamped calf leather, as the farming of exotic skins doesn't align with our strong ethical standards. So what you're looking at here is calf leather, but it's been stamped beautifully. So that's pretty cool. I like that. So to summarize, you have a boot that's handmade in Italy. You have an exposed zipper, a pull tab to help you put the boot on, 40mm heel, Blake stitch construction so you can replace the outsole when it's time, and a very, very sleek profile. Like I'm talking about, this is very clean. Here's signs of wear. All right, so the boots are definitely nice, but is there anything that I don't like about them? And the answer is yes, a little bit. They are extremely, extremely loud. I think louder than they need to be. If I'm comparing to SLP for reference, when I take steps in my SLP boots, yes, you have the clicking of the heel, but it's like a normal sounding click. It's nothing exaggerated. But with these, for whatever reason, the clicking is substantially louder. I don't know if it's just for this particular pair or if all the pairs are this way. Again, I don't know if like the Enzos are gonna be different. I haven't worn them yet, but the Luca, it's loud. And I don't know if, again, I don't know if this is something that is across the board for all the Lucas Fromthefirst, or if it's just this Python pair, or if it's just my pair that ended up being that way. But it is very loud. Is it enough for me to not enjoy wearing the boot? No, not necessarily. Especially if I'm out and about at a place that's already loud anyway. You can't hear it over the sounds of, you know, ambiance and whatever else is going on. But if I take them where it's a little quieter, then yeah, I become kind of super self-aware that I'm creating all this noise. But I do have an idea to fix this. I'm simply gonna get them topied. I'm gonna get a half sole in the front from here to here, basically where you see the signs of wear. That's gonna be covered with a piece of topi, and then I'm gonna also apply a piece to the heel. And I think that's gonna mute it a bit because of the rubber, but it's not an issue. It doesn't stop me from wearing the boot. I absolutely love this boot, and I think it was well worth it. And so let's actually talk about the price. These boots currently retail on the website for $520 US. With the harness or the Enzo iteration, and that's this one here, these retail for $585. So these are more expensive. I assume it's because you have this extra component to it. And they also offer this Python stamp skin in another iteration of theirs called the Diego, which is a more Western boot with a pointed toe. They did recently have a Black Friday sale where everything was 20% off. I think that's the only time that they have a sale in the entire year is Black Friday. But I think there's a standing discount that goes for first-time purchases. I'm not sure if that's still a thing. There was like a welcome code that I used when I purchased these back in June. And if you guys have questions about anything, you can definitely email them. They're a little busy right now fulfilling orders and shipments from the Black Friday sale, but my personal experience contacting them has been just super easy and super friendly. Super professional, super polite, so you don't need to worry. Joshua is the person that I talked to. I believe he is the main person behind all of this. and he has been nothing but friendly in our messages and very accommodating, very patient with my questions, etc., etc. And so I recommend, if you have any questions or doubts, don't be afraid to reach out, because you're going to get a thoughtful response. Since I have the Enzo and the Luca right here with me, and the Luca, like I said, I've worn a lot, but the Enzo I haven't worn at all, I like to show you guys how the leather has held up between a new pair and an old pair, so you can kind of see the differences. This is the Enzo pair. It's the pair that's never been worn, and this is the Luca pair that has been worn. If you look at the toe, the vamp area, I mean, you can see the different signs of wear, but keep in mind, I don't use a shoe tree, and this looks still very new. Like, you see the wrinkle, obviously, and that's just bound to happen unless you're walking like, you know, you don't bend your feet. But look at the shape. There's no real compromise here. It still looks really good. And this wrinkle doesn't even look bad. I don't mind this kind of wrinkle at all. These signs of wear are really cool to me. This is what it looks like brand new, and there's not much difference. So, this is what the brand new sole looks like. It's very nice, very shiny. It says Fromthefirst here, and then it says made in Italy, and then the size notation is underneath that. All right, so they look good in hand, and all the details are very nice, but now let's see what they look like on feet. Cool. So I really like these. I enjoy them with a lot of different outfits. I do think there's a lot of versatility in how you incorporate these boots into your wardrobe. You can pair them with an outfit that's more dressed up, or you can keep everything muted until you get to them at the very bottom, and then it's like they are the highlight. I wanted a pair of SLP Python boots for a very long time. SLP had a Python iteration in the 2013 collection. I think they made it for the harness Wyatt boot and for just a side zip, which looks like this one. And then I think in 2016, they also made it for the Chelsea. All of them look very nice. But then I found these. It's going to sound like I'm biased because I own these and not the others by SLP, but I do think these look better. If you pull up pictures of Saint Laurent, you know, black Python skin, harness Wyatt boots, you can compare the lines of the Python skin and you'll see what I'm talking about. I think these look a lot cleaner. They look less scary. I think the pattern is just a bit prettier. And I'm very happy to own these. And I think that's the point of Fromthefirst. They're making boots that are very hard to find. They know what the fans want. They know that those certain models are hard to track down, and when you do track them down, they cost an arm and a leg. So they're creating them. You can have them brand new at a fraction of the price. It's really changing the game. It's not SLP, it's Fromthefirst. And that's what I think we need to keep in mind, that we're not expecting them to be on the same quality and level as SLP, but that we're giving them room to grow. And honestly, they're just trying to serve us. They're trying to give us what we as SLP enthusiasts want. Because remember, they were fans before they were ever bootmakers, and I think that's significant. So I think that wraps up my review. I hope you guys got what you were looking for in watching this video. If you have any questions, leave them down below and I'll take the time to answer them. Thank you for watching my review, and I'll see you in the next one.